Hey everyone, Srini here. Welcome back to my channel. So this is the part 3 of our Selenium Locators Masterclass series. So with this, we'll be concluding the Masterclass series. And I will be also showing you all a live practical demo of how we are going to be using the Selenium automation script and how do we use the locators to use the different methods whichever we have learned so far. So stay tuned for this particular video and watch it till the end. And if you're new to this channel, please do consider subscribing to it and hit the bell icon to get notifications. So like this, you'll be getting a lot of useful tips, videos on how to prepare for interviews, learning the programming languages, different automation tools. So let's get started with today's topic. So today it's going to be the part 3 of a masterclass. So let's go into the practical part. So I have opened the document. Okay, and we have stopped last time at this particular place there where we learned was what is last of type. Okay, so let me open amazon.co.in application and I'll complete the remaining part and then we'll go on to the practical demo part of it. Okay, and let me just inspect this electronics element for time being. Okay, so we have learned this one. So let me just show it to you again. So let's say we have to find out the last of type. I'm just trying to find it again, this element. So what has happened here is we have got an element at the top header. So if I go to the top, right, see this is the navx shop. So when I'm just doing a mouse over on the tag, it is showing the entire menu bar. Okay. Now in this one, we have a anchor tag as a child tag. So that is how we represent it using this particular way of CSS selector. We can either use a space or we can use a greater than arrow. So I've used a greater than arrow at this current moment. And then I mentioned the tag name, which is anchor tag, colon, we have to mention the last of type. So as soon as I say last of type means whichever tags are the child of this div tag and are having anchor tag as the type of tag. So we are trying to find the last of type. So which is going to be this last anchor tag within this parent. So we have got this anchor tag, which is nothing but coupons, right? So we have got the coupons as the last hyperlink within this parent element. So now let's go ahead to learn the other types of CSS selector types, right? So the other type is if we want to find out the nth last of type. So if you see this here, it is last of type, means it is giving you the last element or the last child element within the parent element. What if I want to find out the nth last element? So I can say nth last of type and I can mention third last. So rather than having only an option to find out the last element, what if I want to find out the third last, fourth last, or fifth last? So this nth hyphen last of type number, this number gives us the third last or whatever number we are giving here. It will give us that particular element. So I'm going to copy that as an example for this one. And why do we need to always worry only about the nth last? What about from the starting if we want to find out, right? So that also we have a way that is called nth of type. So rather than saying nth last, just remove this and say nth of type. So it will be starting from the front. So if you see this navx shop is having child anchor tag starting from here, right? This is the first anchor tag fresh. Then comes mx player. The third one sequentially is the cell hyperlink. So we are asking it to give us the nth of type, and number 3 means the starting third child element, which is an anchor tag. So this is how we can identify a nth of type 3. Okay. And likewise to the above one, which we have seen nth last of type, we have a similar kind of a one called nth last child. So as I mentioned, it is coming from the like from the last we are trying to start and identify the number of elements which are returned, like nth last third, nth last, like that. So similar to that, we have nth last child. So we can use either of the two. So instead of saying nth last of type, I can say nth last child. And I can give it some number, let's say fourth number, right? So I am saying give me fourth last element, okay, nth last child of that. So let's say if you see here, it's talking about the child. So that will also include the other child tags. So if you see here, we have script, we have anchor tag. So it's not just worrying about the type of the element as anchor tag. It is saying nth last child. That means even the other tags which are not anchor tag will also come into picture. So what is the last element of this parent element nav shop? Script is the last child element. So start from here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we are not just considering the anchor tag type, we are also considering any type. So that's why we are having another type of a locator called nth last child. So this is giving you the fourth last child element, which is the third last anchor tag. And if you want to really find out, in case if I had used nth last of type, let's check it out. We will be getting audible, not Amazon Basics. So let's do that. So I've done the same thing, nth last of type, and you can see audible is highlighted, not Amazon Basics, because it is fourth last element in anchor tag. That is why this of type is very important. And if you say child, nth last child, then it is going to go for Amazon Basics. So I hope this concept is clear to you all in CSS selector. Okay. So these are all small things which we just need to remember and keep practicing. It will be very easy for us to implement in our automation framework. So we have covered all these different types in today's session. That is, we have covered last of type, we have covered nth last of type, we have covered nth last child, right? And we have also covered nth of type. So again, let me show you nth of type rather than the child. So it will be trying to identify nth of type, that is a fourth anchor tag from the start. So if you want to really cross check, see 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it's giving you the fourth anchor tag from the start. So this is how we are able to get the CSS selector help us to identify the fourth element from the start. If you say nth last of type, then it's going to give you fourth anchor tag from the bottom, right? And if you don't want to have only the type one, just say nth last child, and it's giving to give you the fourth last child of the element. Okay. So I hope this concept is very clear now. Nth last child, nth of type, nth last of type, and the last of type, as we discussed, it's going to give you the last element of that type. And if you use only last, okay. So let's say if I were to go for last of type, so it's going to give you the last of type means the last anchor type. Okay, I hope this concept is completely clear. So we have covered all the types of CSS selector which were important for us to keep in mind. And that is it. Yes, so we have completed CSS selector. That was a part one of our today's tutorial series. So now we are going to go on to the practical implementation part where I'll be creating a project in front of you all and I'll be showing you all how do we do Selenium automation scripting. So for this, what you'll be requiring is you'll be requiring a Java editor tool. So I'm using Eclipse IDE, and what I'll be doing is I'll be creating a project in front of you all. So you have to go to File, go to New, and say Java project. Let's say Selenium interactions, and you need to have the default JRE as your GDK 1.8. So you should have Java GDK 1.8 installed, or you can have another version also. If you have 1.11 or higher version also, it's fine. So I prefer to go for a 1.8 version because it is comfortable. Go and click on finish. And here you go. You have got your folder created, Selenium interactions. So once you have done this, what you have to do is expand it, go to SRC folder, and here you'll be creating all your script files. So right click on this folder, go to new and create a package and just say Selenium basics because we are trying to learn all the basics first. And this element which we are going to interact, that is coming in the Selenium basics perspective. So click on finish and here we need to create our Java file. So I'm going to say here Selenium locators because we are trying to practice Selenium locators in this particular session. Right? And just use public static void main for now. That's fine. Click on finish. So far we have just created a structure of our project. We have not yet got our Selenium libraries as such as a part of our project. So that's the next step. So what you have to do is go to Chrome browser and here just say Selenium standalone server Java file, and you can download any version. But I have this 3.5.3 jar, so I've downloaded from here. And if you want to also download from a website called Maven repository, you can do so as well. Just say Maven repository and Selenium server standalone. See, this website is more safe to use. But only one thing you need to keep in mind is that it should not have any vulnerability. So when you look at this particular artifact, right, it has jar, but there is no vulnerability mentioned that this is vulnerable to some security. So you can safely download it. So that is how I normally try to assess the safety part of the jar, whichever I'm downloading from the internet. And then I keep it as a part of my project based on if there is any vulnerability reported or not. Of course, they may be mentioning a higher version is existing. Let's click on it, 2.53. And here also you can see there is no vulnerability. Just go to jar and you can download it. It is downloaded. So this is how you can safely download it. Now the next part which we require is a Chrome driver. So if you're working with a Chrome browser, you need to have a Chrome driver in order for us to interact with the browser, right? So go to your Chrome browser, click on this three dotted symbol and go to help and go to about Chrome. So I have basically switched off the updates for my Chrome browser so that I don't have to keep updating the Chrome driver each time. So my version is 109.05414. And for that, what I've done is I've already downloaded the Chrome browser. So let me show you, I've bookmarked it. So this is this one. Chrome driver and then this one. Yeah. So this is the one. If you see 109, so I'll give this particular link also in my description so that it is useful for you all to just directly replace the version whichever you want to as per your browser. You can directly replace it here in the path and it will give you all the Chrome drivers present over here. And one important thing is that here you need to basically mention, I mean, you need to download as per your Windows operating system or Mac or Linux. So I've gone for Windows 32, so you can accordingly download it. So once you have downloaded the Selenium standalone server as well as the Chrome driver, what you have to do is you have to create a folder inside your Eclipse. So I'm going to create one folder inside this project. I'll call it as external files. So remember, this is a non-Maven project, but still the concept remains the same. We will be having a complete different session in the next time where I'll be showing with Maven how do we create a framework from scratch, how to design a framework from scratch using Maven. So stay tuned for my next video on the same. So for now, I have already downloaded it. So what I'll be doing is I'll be trying to just place those files. So I'll do one thing. I'll just directly go to my Selenium folder. I have these two libraries already downloaded. I'm going to copy it and I'm directly going to go to my project and right click on the external files and paste it over. So you have got your Chrome driver.exe as well as you also have your jar file, right? The Selenium standalone server jar file, copy it to this particular folder. So once this is complete, we will do the scripting part. It's taking a bit of time. Okay, so expand this and you can see we have the two external files present over here. Now, another important thing which we need to do after we have done this much is that go to your project, right click on it and go to build path and configure your build path. Because now you need to add these jar, whichever you have downloaded into your project. Means you need to start referencing those jars, right? As of now, we have only the Java 1.8 library jars available. So we need to also reference the Selenium library. So click on add jars because it is now a part of our project. So that is why we did not do add external jar. because now these jars are part of your Selenium interactions project. So expand the interactions project, go to external files and just select this one and click on OK. And you can see now we have got our jar as a part of our libraries section. Click on apply those. And you can see that we have got a new reference library with Selenium Server standalone. So now we can start using our whatever commands we require with respect to Selenium. So let's get started with our scripting part. So what I'll be doing is I'll be using the concept of hooks. So for which I'll be creating a method. So I'll say setup method. Okay, this is the preferred approach normally, that we need to have hooks concept followed every time. If you're using Maven or non-Maven, that doesn't matter. You have to keep using the concept of object-oriented programming principle. So I'm going to create a object of Selenium locators. And for those who are completely new to Java, I have a separate playlist on Java as well as for Selenium, right from scratch basics. So you can refer those playlists. I'll be putting the link for those two in the description, as well as I'll put a card in my YouTube video. You can refer to that. So, object of my class. And I'm going to call my method, whichever I have created, which is a setup method. So I'm going to create a method for this method, setup method. And I'll be having one more method where I'll be trying to close my browser. So I'm going to say tear down, means close the browser. And all of these will be requiring us to access one particular variable or driver. And here we need to import the WebDriver library from Selenium. So we have done that. And here at the end, we are just going to say close the browser. Okay. So what we have to do, we have to call this setup method. We have to call the tear down, and one method we'll be having in between that will have the actual logic. So I will say this now as element interactions, so that it is very systematically organized, our code, right? What we want to achieve in 3 steps. So this is step number 1, that is to launch browser and set some configurations, if any. Okay. Second part is going to be the main code where we are going to do element interactions with our within our application by our driver, by our web driver. And the last one is going to basically clean it up. We are going to close the browser. So step 3 is going to close the browser and any other such open connections. Right? So basically clearing it out and keeping it clean. So that's what we're going to focus on in this entire scripting part. So let's get started with the code for the setup part. So first of all, I'll just call all these and keep it ready. And after this, we need to tear down. That's it. Yeah. So that's all we need to do from a calling perspective from a main method. Now let's try to write down the script for interaction with the elements. So first of all, you have to use this driver variable to get initialized, right? So for that, what I'll be doing is I'll be first required to set up the path where my Chrome driver is present. So I will say system.set property. I'm going to use webdriver.pro.driver because this is my type of browser which I'm going to use for this particular session. If you're not going to use Chrome, if you're going to use, let's say, IE browser, you can directly go for, I'll show you the next step how to use that. You don't have to do the system set property, but for Firefox and Chrome, we need to set the property. And now here we have to give the path. So basically, this is the path of your Chrome driver for your understanding. So I will achieve this in 2 steps. So I'm going to say system.get property. First of all, I'm going to find out the path to my current directory. So this is the current project which I'm in right now, Selenium Interactions. So in this one, if I want to reach till Chrome driver, I need to find out the path, relative path of this Chrome driver, basically which is within this path, right? This external files and Chrome driver. So let me do right click, go to properties, and you can see here we are already in Selenium interactions project. So just you need to copy this path, the relative path, because already this user directory is giving you the path till Selenium interaction, and just you need to paste the path here. That's all you need to do, and your path is ready for the Chrome driver. Okay. So this is the first step. We need to set the property for the Chrome driver. The next thing is we can directly now create an instance of a Chrome driver. It will not give us any problem now. And now we can start with our interactions. So first of all, let me import this Chrome driver class. And now I can say driver.get because I want to open my application using the driver.get command. And again, all these things you can get it from a properties file. So I'll maybe make it this code more cleaner in my next session where I'll be showing how to design a framework from scratch. I just want to focus this session from an interactions perspective. So for now, I'm hard coding, but it is not supposed to be hard coded. We are supposed to refer this from a properties file. So I'm using this get Amazon application. Now, what I want to do with this Amazon application, I want to, yeah, so let's do one more thing. Rather than using Amazon application here, let me do it here and let me keep this more generic. So I will just say driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. I'm maximizing my browser, right? So this is maximizing my browser. Then what I want to do, I want to set out the synchronization part. So I'm going to say timeouts dot implicitly wait. I want to wait for maximum of 10 seconds. In case it is not able to find an element, then before it throws a timeout error, I want to wait for maximum 10 seconds. Minute. And then similar to this one, we have one timeout for the page load timeout, which we can give it as, let's say, 20 seconds, right? So this is the implicit timeout and the page load timeout, which we have given from a synchronization perspective, just to ensure that we don't have any slowness while we are loading the page, or when we are navigate from one page to another, or when we are trying to work with some element. So this will help us to maintain the synchronization part. Now let's come to the element interaction. What we want to do with this driver session, right? We want to first open the application that we have done. We have opened our Amazon application. Now what we want to do, we want to interact with the element. So how we interact with the element is we say driver dot find element, because we want to find only one element. By is the class dot. Now here is the important thing which I wanted to explain in my session today, that we have different types of locators which we have seen theoretically, and how to basically form a locator from a browser. But this is the practical part. So you can see here, if you want to find out an element by ID, you can directly say the ID value here. Whatever is the ID value, you just have to provide it here. So this is how we find an element by using its ID attribute. Now, likewise, if you want to find an element using some other way, let's say by dot class name, you have to use this class name method and give your class name value here. That's all. It's pretty simple. And likewise, we have one more, that is by using tag name. So here, let's say if I mention anchor tag, so it is going to identify in current web page by element by tag name as A. Now, this is a very tricky thing, because if you see our Amazon application, there are so many anchor tags. So if I just say A here, or just for your understanding, let's say /A. So there are at least 389 hyperlinks present on the current page. 389 links are there, right? So this is not going to give you one match. It is going to give you multiple elements. So that is why you have to write here driver.find elements, because your tag name is going to give you more than one match. So that is why whenever you're using ID, class name, always check in your local browser that it is giving you exact one match or not. If it is not, then it is preferred to use some other type of locator. So if ID class name doesn't give you, you need to go for some other locator. Let's say driver dot find element by dot. Let's look at the other types. We have CSS selector. So let's say if I want to access the element by its ID, so I can just say ID value. So hash symbol is used to represent the ID, and whatever is the value you have to provide it after the hash symbol, and that is it. And likewise, we have the other types. Let's say I want to go for hyperlink. So we have some link text. So let's say I want to go for electronics. So I can just say electronics as the link text to which I need to go ahead and click on it, right? Because what I want to do with this element, I want to click on it. So I'll show you the other methods also, what we can do with an element, but I just have given a way of how to use it. First, we need to find the type of locator, then close the bracket, use a full stop, or basically to access the other methods for that element. So that is, we have got a click method, which is applicable. So likewise, let's say if you want to send some value in a text box, so you can use a send keys method, and you can say laptops, you want to search for laptops. So like that also you can do. So this is to enter some text in a search box. This is to click on and use the click method. So likewise, similar to this link text, we also have one more method called partial link text. So here we can go for partial link text. Okay. So remember the way it is to be worded. The first letter has to be small, then it should be capital for the next word, and then again capital for the any other word which is combined here. So partial link text, and then you can just say electro. So if there is only one hyperlink with electro, then it will be able to identify it uniquely and then click on it. So let's look at any other type, which is remaining. We have XPath, of course, left. So we'll go for XPath now. So by XPath, let's say I have anchor tag and I'm saying text equal to in single apostrophe electronics. So this is how we'll be able to complete the XPath and then enclose the double quotes and then two rectangular through parenthesis here, and then your locator is completed. What you want to do with this? Again, I want to click on it, right? So this is how we are using XPath, right? And in XPath, there are so many different ways we have already seen. CSS selector also, there are so many different ways we have already seen. So that all types of interactions we can do. So let me check out if there is any other thing which I can show you. Tag name we have seen, name is also there. Yeah. ID we have covered, class name we have covered. We also have name field. So if you have any name value, you can provide it over here. So this is how you can use this find element. And now let's focus now on the different types of methods which we can do. So if I access the dot operator, see we can clear a text box. Okay, we can clear a text box. We can get screenshot. Okay, we can find some element. Within an element, we can find some more element. We can get the text also. This is again another important thing. Okay. So I won't be able to cover all these different methods in this session. Maybe I'll cover one complete different other session for the methods of that. But these are all the different options what you have when you're interacting with the element. So what I'll do right now is that I'll just show you one small demo of how I can basically interact with some elements in this Amazon application. And then we'll try to have an automation script execution end to end. So let's interact with a very straightforward, let's say hyperlink text. Let's say we go for electronics. So driver dot find element by dot link text. Let's say electronics, and then click on it. And whatever we have written here, the page redirection and everything, this will remain the same. Only we are printing the title of our next page. So let's keep it simple for this example, and the remaining one interaction of the drop down or the search results value, we'll take it up in the next session where I'll come back with the end-to-end script. So let's run this program and check. So it should click on electronics element. It has clicked on it, and we are redirected to electronics. So it should print the title, and it should be able to close the browser. Yeah, I think we have commented the line for closing the browser, but it should have printed the title. So let's have a look at it. Element interactions. So you can see that it has printed the electronics page title, and our execution is also completed. The progress is shown as completed. It did not close the browser because we did not had the step to close the browser. We had commented it. So now I'm going to uncomment this step driver.close, and I'm going to run this entire program again. So just to show you all that it is able to do this end-to-end execution. Let's do that. It has opened the browser. It has opened the browser. It has opened Amazon. Let's click on electronics. Yeah, so we have opened the electronics page. Now it should close the browser and print the title of this particular window. So let's have a look at our automation script. It's not able to close the browser because of some issue. Let's see what is the problem. So it got timed out basically. So we have given a maximum timeout of 20 seconds, right? So that is why it got timed out. So what we can do in order to solve this kind of a problem is we can increase the timeout for the page load. So this kind of issue happens when your load timeout is exceeded. So we had given 20, but it took more time to load all the elements. So let's give it for a safer side 40. And let's also do one more thing. Let's close all our browsers so that we can see it closing the browser. So only one session should be active and it should close a session. Now we don't have any open browsers for automation. Let's have a look at the. Okay, so it has come to this Amazon, it has clicked on electronics, it has opened this new window, and now it has also closed the browser, right? So all happened very quickly and smoothly, and now we have also got the title of our electronics page. So hope this session was useful and you learned a lot. I'll be covering in the next session of Locator, where I'll be covering end-to-end of different types of interactions you can do in and web application, that is drop down interactions radio button. I'll try to work with different types of elements like image and all those things which I'll be covering in one masterclass, just for basically interacting with different types of elements and how to interact. So stay tuned for that, and thank you so much for watching my video. Please subscribe to my channel.